Hello, Roger Federer. So I know that you are in Germany at Halle, I believe it's pronounced, and I just really kind of wanted to. It's a little premature, but I wanted to sort of fast forward to Wimbledon. It's a major expectation for you. I think fans love this time of year. I love this time of year. It's my tournament, Wimbledon, and no more. There's no memories better than the ones, those great Sunday mornings that Roger Federer gives us when he wins at Wimbledon. But I love all the tournaments. Actually, all of the Grand Slams are great. Just some strong special memories at Wimbledon every year. So I always think of the championship point. It is my favorite. It's my favorite term. It has, for me, a lot of power in it, and it's always been a really exciting point in time. Just that one moment before arrival, that final arrival, like it's just a really special moment for me. So championship point is just something very, very, very special to me, especially at Wimbledon. But for you, Roger Federer, I will take it anywhere. Championship point at the U.S. Open, at Wimbledon also, at the Australian also, and at Roland Garros also. I'll take it. I'll take it all. So I wanted to do this championship point. I wanted to do like a drill down, a drill down video, and just start. I talk about a lot of these things, but I think that I kind of want to sort of bring it together, and maybe I'm still not going to even be able to bring it together in this video, but I'll try my best. But again, I've talked about in the past in my videos, like what are 10 things you can do to be your best friend on the court. And, these are some things in my mind that I believe will help you keep your shine, and just will be really, really helpful. But, I'm just here to like throw things out as a fan. And if you're watching these videos and you find it useful, please take it and use it, as I usually say. So the first thing I think is to challenge yourself. Can you, give yourself a great chance of going to Wimbledon. Give yourself a great chance for going into Wimbledon. Because example number one is actually at Wimbledon. I believe that was Wimbledon 2010 when you won the 16th Grand Slam title, and you talked about, at that point in time, like I said in another video, you were winning. You were actually doing still very, very well. I mean, Rafa was on the scene. You had a very healthy rivalry with him. Yes, he was out injured, but in Roland Garros, at your 15th title, Rafa got knocked out by Soderling. So, you did your job and made it to the finals. Rafa didn't do his job and make it to the finals. So I always felt like there was that edge there, that you kind of felt like since Rafa didn't make it, the title felt like it was a little bit less, or that the public would view it as a little bit less. And the reason why I say that is because I'm vaguely remembering an interview with John McEnroe that you had where you kind of alluded to that in something that you said. I don't remember exactly what you said, but that's what stayed in my mind. So anyway, going back to the 16th, oh my God, I just get off track so much, but I do these videos raw, not raw, but just off the top of my head, so unfortunately I go off on tangents sometimes. Sorry. Going back to the 16th title, after you won that, you talked about how Pete Sampras said, after this, pretty much you're only going to be able to win one title a year, and it was kind of like you accepted that as sort of a truth. And I've been talking about belief systems a lot, and from there it seemed to come true, and even went lower than the truth of what it seemed to be something that you accepted in your mind. Like, oh, well, after this, I won 2 this year so far, but after this, I'm only going to win 1. And then it's been like a, 2-year period where you are definitely capable of doing this. Definitely, of course, realistically, there's a lot of work to go into getting past these 6 tough guys or whatever, but you're very capable of doing this, but it hasn't happened, and it seems like because of a sort of mental struggle and a mental inability to get over that hurdle of just the rivalry between you and Rafa. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'm just saying, like, that's the number one example for belief. The second example, it's like you believe something, you said it, and it kind of came true. You know, you kind of stopped winning after you said that. Oh, one slam title a year, like Pete Sampras said, and no disrespect to Pete. Nothing, it's not that at all. The second belief was going into Roland Garros 2012 and just saying, I give myself like a chance after, you know, Nadal's the favorite, Joker's the second one, and I'm the third. And that's just what happened. Like, you know, it's just, I was like, really? You know, from my other videos, it's just tough to believe that you would even say something like that. So for me, it's just kind of like, you know, like, where are you giving yourself a chance, you know? And, that's what it took me 5 minutes to get to this whole point. But, you know, number one, give yourself great chances going into Wimbledon. You know, you're probably going to get those questions like, who's the favorite, Roger? Who's the favorite to win Wimbledon? And I mean, I would just say, like, I'm giving myself like really good chances. I'm coming in here into this tournament to really try my best and do very well, and that's what I'm looking at. The favorite you can leave to the people. You know, the people will answer who's the favorite, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm my own favorite. You know, and I know that it's kind of hard to give the media those kind of answers, I'm sure, because some of them are really, they really will try to, a lot of them will still really try to press on and get you to sort of talk about Nadal and talk about Djokovic and stuff like that. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, it's the usual suspects. You know, it's anybody's game pretty much. You know, there's some really strong players in here. You know, I'm just looking forward to my chances, you know, and you can figure it out. You give great answers, and you're wonderful, because you're never like a one-liner person. When someone asks you a question from the media, you always give like a really nice spectrum of information. So I always really appreciate that about you. But here, you know, you could just shave it down a little bit if you want, and as if I'm an example of telling somebody to shave something down with these long videos of mine. But yeah, you know, if they try to press you and try to get you to comment on any other player other than yourself so much, I would just say, you know, be honorable, obviously, but give yourself, like, stay strong and giving yourself the chance. Like, I am here to really focus on bringing myself to the greatest level in this and winning it, and really just focusing on it and removing any of the challenges I have. And, you know, there are other challengers here who are doing the same thing, and that's it. No anticipation would be the next point. That's only the second point. We're 8 minutes in. No anticipation. You know, reminds me of Bruce Lee. Enter the Dragon again, which I was talking about in another video. And yeah, it's just kind of like, don't go into the match. Like, if my advice could be any value, you know, it's just like, kind of like, don't go into the match anticipating like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a tough match. You know, like, maybe you're playing a tough opponent, but it doesn't have to be a tough match. You know what I mean? Like, just get friendly with your mind. Like, how can you be the best friend to your mental mindset, you know, without already tearing it down by saying it's going to be a tough match? Like, I haven't only heard you say that. I've heard a lot of players say that. I can expect a tough match. Like, you don't want to expect a tough match. You want to expect to be on to adjust to a tough player, maybe, you know? You know, you want to give yourself chances in the match. So I really believe, you know, and I'm just fighting for ground with this, with just keeping it and shifting it a little bit into that kind of mental mindset, you know, because it's a big difference between saying it's going to be a tough match and a difference between saying, you know, this guy's an amazing player, so I'm going to have to really be at my best. And don't say I'm going to raise my level. I don't have to raise my level and stuff like that, because, I mean, that's doing you no favors. That's doing you no favors. That's already saying that you're not as good as him, like, in the mind. So you have to kind of be careful in leaving the door open to the mind being able to feel like it can excel. Wow, I don't know where those words came from, but they just sounded so beautiful. Yes, I give myself big ups for that one. Go, high five. Anyway, okay, I'm back. So, could you promise yourself, could you challenge yourself seriously? Like, no anticipation. I'm not going to anticipate that I'm going to have a tough time in this match. I'm not going to anticipate that, I'm going to lose this match or whatever. I'm not saying that you do that. That's like just killing yourself. You might as well just stab yourself with a sword if you're going to say, I'm going to lose the match. So I doubt that you think like that. But I don't doubt that you might think, oh, so it's going to be really tough to win. So all I ask is that there's a difference between telling the mind it's going to be tough to win, which is really 3/4 of the way saying, I cannot do this. Rather, that's telling the mind you're not going to be able to do this. You need to keep the mind open to be able to focus. Once you tell the mind in different ways it cannot do something, it's going to shut down. If you commit to keeping the mind on, just open to adapting to whatever comes your way, open to maybe pumping yourself up, maybe more adrenaline. I don't know. I'm just saying, if you just keep the doors open in the mind can adjust to really create opportunities where you are more likely to get the win, rather than telling the mind already that in little ways that you're not going to be able to win. So there's a difference between saying that it's going to be tough to win and versus saying something like this: I need to make sure that I fully commit to myself every moment of the match, so I'm very, very likely to pull out the win, so I can do my best to pull out the win. Just start trusting that language. And then also notice, when you do change the language, your mind, or there's going to be certain stuff that's going to come up, those ugly voices I called it in my last video. They're going to come up and be like, you can't win this match. And, it's going to be a battle between yourself. And it's not something that, well, let me put it like this. When those things come up, you need to have a support system in place. You need to have, how sometimes people have, an exit strategy or a strategy to leave a building in a fire or something like that. You need to have a strategy when those things come up. You need to be able to have a piece of paper to remind you, or you need to have your phone with the quotes on that, or you need to, think about have a reminder to think about your favorite person who brings a lot of courage and tough experiences or whatever. You need to have those things in that moment, so that way you can regain your ground. And because the number one opponent is really you. And I'm not just saying you, Roger Federer, but I'm just saying you in general. Each one of us is a human being. The number one opponent is ourselves, So even before you step out onto that court, you created all of these scenarios which aren't even a reality, and brings me to a woman who I really admire, but who also I find highly infuriating because, and not in a bad way, but because her work really, really, digs in deep with you, and she's unearths stuff and things like that. But her name is Byron Katie, and she's always asking this question: is it real, darling? Most of her questions, most of her work usually deals with family situations and things like that, and family trauma, or family tension, rather, stuff like that. But let me just bring that back to you. When you're anticipating something, you have to ask yourself, is it real? It's not happening. You don't know what the outcome is, so why make up an outcome? That's all I'm saying. Why make up an outcome and not give yourself a chance? So you're making up an outcome and things are going to be hard and this and that and la, and, and to jump back to Djokovic, he came into that finals match with the king of clay all in his mind. He didn't even have himself turned on for that match. He was half turned off because he didn't believe in himself. When you don't believe in yourself, you are half turned off, and you could see that. And that's the great thing about Roland Garros. That should be some great wind under your wings to roll into Wimbledon, because now, again, you've seen what it feels like on the court to be against someone, to be in a high intensity situation and for it to be really tough and things like that. And and sort of struggle with your mind, your mind and misconceptions and beliefs and stuff like that to just lead you to not be on for the match and then end up in a loss, and I'm not saying that, well, anyway, whatever. Sorry. So, no anticipation. Like, what if you challenge yourself to say, I'm not going to anticipate anything. Only thing I'm going to do is just be on. I'm going to be on. I'm going to promise myself that every point I'm going to focus, and I'm going to bring myself back into focus. That's, that's it. And I'm going to create opportunities. I'm going to be there to take advantage of opportunities. So I don't want to get ahead of myself because those are parts of other points later on. Here we go into point number 3. Understanding what winning looks like to you. Like, if I were to ask you, what does winning exactly look like to you in your perfect world? Like, not thinking that, like, if I could just give you the win, like, just reach out of my pocket and give you the win, even though I know you don't want to receive it that way, you want to earn it, but I'm just saying, like, the pass to have all the answers, to be able to fight through everyone and get to the championship, to the cup. Like, what does winning look like to you, Roger Federer? And just take a moment, like, pull out a piece of paper and write that down. Like, write down the answer and take time with it. Like, really sit down and write, like, what does winning look like to you? Like, what does it look like to you on a pre-match basis? What does winning look like to you on a pre-match basis? What does winning look like to you on a moment-to-moment basis within a match? What does winning look like to you on a point-to-point basis, which is about sort of similar, the same thing? And what does winning look like to you during a match basis? Like, what does winning look like to you during a match? Overall in general, so we're drilling down, we're deconstructing, we're talking about the pre-match basis before you go in there, like, we're talking about, the pre-match basis, we're talking about the moment-to-moment basis from in each moment in the match, and then we're talking about a point-to-point basis, and then we're talking about during the match basis, just overall, which includes the last 2 points, and then, what does winning look like to you during adversity in a match? And really, really, Roger Federer, really sit down and write the answer to these questions down. Like, really think about that. And make a championship contract with yourself. Like, what does your championship contract look like? I mean, would it include any of these points that I brought up in this video? Like, what are you doing to be your best friend on the court? What are you doing to be your worst opponent? Like, are you playing, and this is a really good question to maybe have, like, taped onto your water bottle. Are you playing against, freak, I just lost my train of thought. That's so weird. Are you playing against yourself? I mean, oh no, this was a question. Are there 2 opponents on the court playing against Roger Federer, or is there 1 opponent on the court playing against Roger Federer? Like, that's a question you should keep asking yourself every point, whenever you're not feeling good, whenever you notice things are hard, or you start tripping out or whatever during a match, just come back to that. Like, are there 2 opponents on this court I'm playing against, or is there 1 opponent? The 2 opponents are the person now who's the doubt, who's the fear, who's the one who gets discouraged. This discouraged one is probably the worst one. And it's also like bringing in that Byron Katie thing I talked about a few minutes ago. Like, where am I in this match? Am I leading? Am I behind? What can I do if I'm leading? How can I do it to run away with this match? And then if I'm behind, what can I do to stay as close to the opponent as I can? Which is what I've seen. What I thought again, I heard Rafa say one time, when he was losing the match, he was like, I just tried my best to stay as close to, keep the points as close as possible, not let him get too far away. And then when I had my opportunity, I really took it. It's not to keep bringing Rafa into this. Once again, it's just to keep bringing in what works, just the system of what works. So can you promise yourself as well, like, no matter where you are in the match, you're going to stay available for yourself on the court? And if heat and intensity management, heat comes up and intensity comes up, like you saw with Djokovic, you saw that with Djokovic against Nadal, like, what are you going to do? Like, you saw him, like, starting to break down, like, not even sort of realizing in a way that he was, to give himself a moment in the match, to let the match sort of come to him, so to speak. And again, I'm not a tennis expert, but I just feel like, it also reminds me of basketball, like seeing young guys when there's like 10 minutes or 5 or 3 minutes left in a game, and they're like 7 points behind or 8 points behind. Like the young rookie, a lot of times is like rushing the shots, rushing, shooting and missing and just completely succumbing to freaking out, And then he realizes over time, it's really nice to see the growth of that same rookie over time, like realize, like, I can let this game come to me. There's only 3 minutes left with 7-point deficit, and that's just 2 3-pointers and a regular shot, or 2 3-pointers and a foul shot or something like that, but I have time, and I just feel like it reminds me, the progression of that too, as a fan, like freaking out with that person, going, oh my gosh, there's not that much time left, you gotta hurry up, you gotta blah, and then they mess it up. But then also just seeing like how they progress and when they take time and let the actual game come to them and just take a moment and just really focus and just concentrate and take the shot and not freak out, and stuff like that. And that's what I feel like Djokovic was kind of doing. When he started changing up the game. He started, and I know that Nadal felt that as well. Like, he started making these shots that were off and making errors, whereas at first he was doing well. He wasn't exactly winning. He was still behind from Nadal. Actually, I thought he broke Nadal, but he started kind of freaking out a little bit and started hitting all these shots. But I think if he just kind of stayed with his same sort of patience and let the match come to him a little bit, he would have been okay. Like, hey, you know what? I broke this guy. I could still break this guy. I gotta be on. I can't let the match run away from me, but I can't start freaking out either and changing up everything and making all these different decisions, because then I feel like sometimes too, like, too much radical change, the other opponent feels it psychologically that you have actually, like, starting to freak out, and that gives them some psychological points. So anyway, I'm just throwing all of this stuff out there, but really just understanding again, like, what winning looks like to you. Let me bring that back. It's obviously difficult to stay really, really focused. Yes, so just understanding, like, what winning looks like to you in the moment, on a pre-match basis. Like, what does winning look like to you? Winning, for me personally, with regard to you, winning would look like, to me, like, you really not anticipating anything. Like, a night before, calming yourself down, in yoga, there's this awesome breathing techniques. And in yoga, there's one that I really love. I think is great. It's called the Dirga breath, and it's a 3-part breath. And actually, you're just pulling in breath down into the stomach as if you had sort of like a straw in the stomach. So you're pulling in your breath, you're pushing out your stomach, and then you're filling that with air. Then you're filling your midsection with air, and then you're filling your chest with air. And you're all doing this really calmly and steadily. And then you're letting your breath out steadily. And it's so calming, so relaxing. It's so freaking awesome. I love the Dirga breath, or the 3-part breath. So that's what that looks like to me. Like, you just relaxing, staying centered, and however, it doesn't have to be my way with the yoga and the la. but whatever your way, whatever works for Roger Federer's way. So that's what that looks like to me, like, and giving yourself a chance, like, and checking on yourself, like, let me have my checks in place, and having a little paper or something in your phone, like, am I giving myself a chance in this match? Have I discounted myself in any way in this match before it even happening? And then again, bringing in that Byron Katie thing, like, anticipation, is it real? You know what I mean? Is it real to really go in there and go, I have to raise my level to Djokovic 10 times? You've beaten Djokovic before. Of course you might have to make changes and stuff like that. But is it really real that you have to raise the level of your game to Djokovic's? Or is it real that you made 46 unforced errors, he made 17, and now I don't even think 46 unforced errors is an average for you. Like, if 46 unforced errors were an average for you through the matches that you've won, as well as the matches that you lost, then fine. Then you could say you could raise your game. But if 46 unforced errors, are not an average for you, then that's not exactly a true thing to say. I need to raise my game. What needs to happen is that you need to be your own best friend and figure out how not to make these errors. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to attack you or sound hostile or anything like that, but it's like that mental battle, like, for real, like, just really fighting through what's the truth here. Do I really need to raise my game against this guy, or do I really need to be my own best friend on the court? Of course you're gonna have to raise your game in some level, in some ways, or I don't even know so much raise your game, but intensify it and tweak it and this and that's. These are what these guys do. Like, you think Nadal didn't have to tweak things and change and adjust? It's the percentage of how well you adjust and your willingness to want to adjust in order to be able to beat an opponent. So from all that time last year where Nadal kept getting beat by Djokovic, somehow he decided to adjust his game somewhat, somehow, or at least his attitude at the least, and imagine if he just was like, oh my gosh, Djokovic just keeps beating me. I don't know what to do. I think we're going to quit, or I'm just never going to do it right. Or what if he brought that onto the court with him? But you see the example, and this is the difference between someone who adapts and changes really well. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful here, but let me just ask you a question. Out of the top 5, let's just say out of the top 10 guys, like, who's come on the scene, who's beaten who a lot, who showed up as with the most promise after you, Roger Federer, came on the scene? Like, who showed up with the most promise and who's been, like, the most consistent out of that bunch, is interesting. And how have these guys adjusted and processed their wins and their losses? Like, do you want, when I said, I don't mean any disrespect because I'm about to say it right now, but do you want to process your losses like a Nadal who adapts and adjusts, or do you want to process your losses like a Murray? Like, you make the choice, Roger Federer. Like, you make the choice. And you can see the side, and it's not to be disrespectful to anybody, but just really see, like, the truth of what's going on, which is someone who is processing their losses not too well, and someone who is really not letting loss get into their skin, but it's being more as a sort of like a data that's coming in. Okay, I lost this match. Why? Let me take the data from it. Let me take the data. And are you willing to step into yourself and look at the matches that you have not won, and just really look at it objectively, not emotionally, like kick in your emotional management system and sit down and watch these matches and take a little clipboard, like you're going in completely detached from it, and just see, like, okay, what happened here, what happened here, what happened here, what happened here, and just, that's how people are adjusting. And I'm pretty damn sure I would bet my check on the fact that Rafa has watched matches that he's lost, and he's the one reacting to loss and competition, probably the strongest and the best right now. So it's really good to just take that data. It's not that he is the best, but he is actually stepping into that the most. He's stepping into it the most. So my question to you is, how willing are you to step in the most? And if you are battling being willing to do it, just tap into willingness. Anyone you've ever seen willing, like someone you know in your life who you admire, like who's willing to change in my life. My God, like who. For me, it would be a wonderful woman that I train, who trained me in my life coach training. Like I can step into that woman is a beast, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it in a good way. Like really evaluating herself and stepping into herself, and just really not putting up any sort of denial. So anyway, I don't want to bore you with all that, but I'm just saying, like, channel that person in, like that person you really admire, who was like that force of nature, like channel it in and be like, you know what, I'm stepping into this type of energy and I'm gonna face whatever I need to face to improve. So here we go. It's 29 minutes, so I better try to really move on. But again, what does willingness look like to you, and what is being willing to win? What does that look like to you? But the real question was the other real question is understanding what winning looks like to you. And also, as you're writing the answers to that, making a contract with yourself, like winning looks this way to me. I'm on for my pre-match. Like I'm not anticipating anything. I'm going in. I'm declaring that all my reflexes are open, my whole awareness. I'm gonna clear out anything else, and whatever is a problem or issue or anything like in my personal life. This is my choice. This is my approach. I'm just gonna put that off for the next 3 hours, and I'll come back to it and I'll deal with it. But I'm gonna go 100% clear into this match. On a moment-to-moment basis, what does that look like? Like, do you keep a little victory log? Like, oh, I just hit a great point. Oh, that was great, and, while you're in the middle of the match, to keep it a little bit enjoyable for yourself. Like, ooh, maybe I didn't win that point, but I returned well initially, or whatever, and keep it moving. Just keep giving yourself like a little victory pump. Like, just challenge yourself to compliment yourself on every itty-bitty micro little thing that was done well, and believing that it's valid to do that. Like, don't have a voice come in and say, oh, so what, oh, so what, you return that point well, oh, like you're just not winning the match. Like, don't let that voice come in. So what is moment-to-moment basis and a point-to-point basis, like what would that look like for you? Sticking to the point. If someone is up, sticking to the point, staying consistent until the end, really digging in and concentrating, like to raise the percentage of my breakpoint conversion, challenging myself to relax when I'm on the brink of a breakpoint conversion, or whatever that means, like that's what winning is. Is that what winning looks like to you on a point-to-point basis? And then during the match basis, what does winning look like to you? Does it mean like letting the match come to you? Kind of like, if Djokovic had just stayed a little bit calm and just let the match come to him a little bit, I feel like he would have gotten a better, the one-up on Rafa. If he hadn't come in not believing, like, I think he could have taken the match, actually. Think he could have beaten Rafa. So how are you dealing with that? And then what does winning look like to you during adversity? When things are getting down, when Rafa's noticing where the ball is coming from, where you've barely released it, and he's returning every damn thing, like, like he's got 16 hands. Like, how can you stay positive? How can you stay positive and keep the matches as close to him or any other opponent, not even just Rafa. I was talking about Rafa for whatever reason, but any opponent, like, how can I dig deep and get what I need? How can I dictate this point? How can I arrest this opponent? But doing it in a way that's not going to be like haphazardly changing a whole bunch of things so the other person notices, but subtle changes, or whatever really works for you, whatever really is going to work for you, because you are the tennis expert, okay? Understanding your strengths and your weaknesses and just working with them. You know what your strengths are, pump them up before the match, like really inflate them, pump them up, pump yourself up. Again, it was kind of like the thing I was talking about before, where it was like a victory type of thing. So definitely do that. And your weaknesses, understand them and nurture them, I guess you could say. Bring a little support system into them. Like, what if I get down, if someone is, 3 points up about to break me, like, how am I going to keep my mental frame of mind? And then maybe you put like a little ribbon or something, not a ribbon, I know you probably can't do that, but a really tiny small piece of string on your tennis racket that almost no one will notice, just to remind you, like, hey, listen, it's okay, check back in, let me just hold on, let me keep playing every single point, let me just keep playing every single point, let me just see every opportunity. Because once I start freaking out, I close the doors on all my, ability to be able to see opportunity and take opportunity and turn the tide in my favor. So, that's it. So these are all things in, like, wondering what does winning look like for you, and, making your championship contract, like, what is that going to take for you? Like, it's commitment, it's willingness, it's determination in the right places. Like, where do you check out? That's another thing too. Like, where are you checking out, and do you have supportive measures in place for that? So here we go again. I was really trying to make these videos short, but you know what, I can't. Supportive and preventative measures, for the inner critic. I've been talking about this, like the noisemakers, the ones who are all in your head, the ones who push you to the discouragement, the ones who, kick up the doubt really strong in your chest, like the mind, the ones who start making the mind make decisions like, oh my God, I can't do this. Oh my God, this is so hard. Oh my gosh, this guy is, it's like getting into that hamster, spiraling frame of thought. It's like, oh my gosh, Nadal hit this. Oh my gosh, Del Potro, how am I gonna, oh my gosh, Djokovic, that type of thing. So how can you have preventative measures in place and supportive measures? Again, I think putting a note in your bag, like just something you could just kind of look over that isn't too obvious, because I forgot that the cameras are really good on the TV, and reminds me of Melanie Oudin, that a couple years back at the U.S. Open. She made that wonderful run. She knocked out Dementieva and some other girls, and she made it pretty far in, probably to the quarterfinals, I think, of U.S. Open. And she just had this really little tiny thing on her shoe, like this saying on her shoe, which just said believe, and it was so tiny on the side of her shoe, and the camera like really showed it like very close up. It just said believe on her shoes. So so to say all that to say, like, just don't be too obviously looking into your bag, but a way that the cameras in the world can't see your own personal notes to yourself, and just something that's not, something that's written quick and concise and large for you to see, and just to remind you, like, am I in this? What does winning look like for me? Am I committing to, my contract with my championship contract? Like, what does winning look like for me in this moment, during adversity? What are my preventative measures to keep myself awake and alive during adversity, and in turn be able to turn the tide in my favor, to be able to make the points, to be able to keep my unforced errors low? So that's that. Committing to keeping an open mind for yourself and a clear mind for yourself. And, again, to be available in the court. I already talked about all this, so I won't go over that. But, also just looking at consciously and unconsciously what you're thinking, like, am I really giving myself permission to win? Or is there you may want it here. You may want it like, I want to win. I want to be the best. But maybe somewhere here it's kind of like, I don't know if I can do it. And maybe somewhere here it's kind of like, haven't you won 100 things already? Like, can't you let other people win? And then you got something else saying, oh, winning is boring, beating these guys. Don't you want some challenges, or whatever? Or do you really want to be championship again, to be in all of that heat and intensity with Nadal and Djokovic and whomever? Like, do you really want all that again? Like, I'm just totally making all of this up, but I'm just saying, like, there are parts of everyone who want something great in their life, and then there are these other parts that really are the windows that are open and the doors. It's kind of like, I guess the best example would be, it's kind of like when you put water, like a jug of water, a jug, and you're trying to fill it with water, but it's got holes in it. And that's what kind of like what those holes, the jug of water is kind of like, I want to win, but the holes in it are kind of like, do you really want to be like the center of the media again and all that criticism? And then, do you really want a pressure? Like, what if you can't win all the time? Like the doubt thing. And then that's the second, that's like 1-2 holes. And then the third one's like, you've already won a lot. Like, is it fair? Like Andy Roddick said, you have 15. Can't you give somebody else one? Is that hanging around? Is that hanging around anywhere in your psyche, Roger Federer, that he said that to you? Not, I mean, I'm sure probably not really, but I'm just saying, like, unconsciously and consciously, make sure you are all on the same page, So it's a good quick thing, I think, to say is, like, I really gave myself permission to win and, like, hear what comes up. Because your body will talk to you, and it's not even to sound funny, but everyone doesn't pay attention to this. Like, I just challenge anybody out there to say that they're going to win at something they really, or be successful at something that they really want in life, and notice what comes up. Like, you can't do that. Or how are you even going to do that? You don't even know how to do that. Like, just listen to what comes up. So that's like being out of sync. Like, you want to do something, but parts of you are like off into not believing and not this and that. And so we've got to get those parts together all in alignment. So consciously and unconsciously get those things together in alignment. And just say, I give myself permission on, consciously, unconsciously, on all levels of my consciousness, I give myself permission to win. I choose to win on all levels of my consciousness. I'm choosing to win. Just work with yourself that way, and if that's a little airy-fairy for you or whatever, like, just choose some other wording or method that will be just as effective. So determine and seize what you can control, And again, it's just kind of like, overall, what can you control, Roger Federer? Does that mean actually trying something that your coaching staff suggests or whatever? Does that mean trusting them? I'm not saying that you don't trust them, but I also notice, like, I see Paul and the staff, like, wearing the Roger Federer hats, and it's like the feeling like, we really support you, Roger. Like, it's trying to send a message, and I really don't mean to come off at this as this person who's like analyzing and psychoanalyzing like people I don't even know, and maybe even feeling uncomfortable, like, oh my gosh, I can't move this way. She's like mentioning a video that my back hurts, or oh my gosh, what if I wear this hat? She might mention something, like, it's not the point of like putting people into some weird, awkward position where they feel like they can't make a decision or somebody's going to analyze it, but I just feel like them wearing that hat means that it's just my hunch, and maybe I should just stick to always just staying honest in these videos. Like, I feel like, it's a way, and I could totally be wrong, but it's just, I feel like, there's a sense there too, like, we support you, like, you can do this, you can win, like, we're going to wear a Roger Federer hat, and you can trust us, we're in your corner. So I feel like, they're asking you to try something or do something or spend more time on the court or come out earlier or later or whatever. I don't know, as long as it works for you in your life and you can work it out or whatever, that they're in your corner. And I'm not saying that you don't think that they're in your corner. So I'm just saying that, I just kind of feel like, I don't know. So, what can you take control over? Your unforced errors, What else can you take control over? Keeping your nerve through breakpoint conversion, being consistent on breakpoint conversion, sticking to every point, Maybe you can't control what Del Potro does or how hard somebody serves, but you know what? Maybe going like a madman. This is something I personally would do. I'm telling you, I would probably purchase some crazy apparatus that would shoot the goddamn ball, shoot the ball out at 140 miles an hour all the time, and I would just sit there and practice for at least, a half an hour a day, like, an extra half an hour, and that's just not to say, like, because I don't know what your life is like, what your schedule is like, or whatever, but I just know for me that this would be a priority at my age, into 30, where you have other people, and it's not say again that 30 is old or anything like that, but just again, into dealing with these big servers, these young guys who are getting really confident against you and who will come into next season. They will have gone through the trenches this year and have gained some confidence. And next season, you want to make everything as best and easy as possible for you and still continue on this season. So just that big serve. And a lot of these guys have a lot of power. So it'd be great to just really, instead of having to work on your physical fitness and exerting all this extra stuff where you want to really expand your career into maybe 35 or 39 like Jimmy Connors or whatever, I don't know. But, keep your legs and keep your arms and be able to stay up to par with people who are going to be, more younger people are going to be coming on with fresher legs, or legs with less mileage, let's just say, and arms with less mileage. So, an easy way to do that for me in my mind and my approach would be like, I'm going to make sure I get my damn reflexes on and popping. Seriously? Just like I saw with the way Nadal is recognizing where the ball is going, like probably 2 feet off of the hit, 2 to 3 feet or after the ball, is released off of the hit or whatever. That saves you less time to have to run really hard and less exertion. So that just sounds to me like something that would be like a really good thing. So, just focusing finally on, again, like what can you control and make a list of that, what I can't control and what I can control. And then go to the list of what you can control and just how can I stay the most in control in situations that I can't control and stuff like that. So this video is 45 minutes. I've had a lot of fun actually making this video. I really hope that you're looking at this, and I hope that it really does something for you, because I feel great in making it, and I wish you luck, and I'm so behind you in Wimbledon. And again, I'm so glad. I know I talked about your coaching team, and I'm not trying to act like I know them or know what they're thinking or anything like that. I'm just talking about my own impression, which I realize could totally be wrong. So I just say all of the things that I said respectfully, that's basically it. So I'm all behind you in Wimbledon. I'm praying and hoping that you really see this video. It's a personal wish, and that this is something really useful to you, because I want to see you take this cup in Wimbledon. I know it's your favorite tournament. It's actually mine, though I love all the others too. Love the Australian Open. Love all the others, but So good luck. And, just keep it going, Roger Federer! Go, 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 go! Good luck!